This is a big move for Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to withdraw from the International Criminal Court (ICC). So instead, they are going to create their own regional criminal court under the Alliance of Sahel states. Why? They believe that the ICC is always against African countries. Even though they have the proof that the West countries are doing wrong, but they have never convicted any Western countries. So they believe this is a time for them to withdraw from the ICC. And I know they are going to call this as a rebellion. No, what these three leaders are trying to do, they are doing a restoration of Africa. What do they think? Do you think all African countries should withdraw from the ICC? Let me know. Make sure you like the video, you share, and you tell me, what do you think?
I want you to picture this. A courtroom in The Hague. Marble floors, European judges in black robes, and in the defendant's chair, yet another African leader. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, war criminals sip champagne at state dinners, their hands stained with Iraqi blood, Libyan tears, and Syrian ash, but they'll never see the inside of that courtroom. Okay, for decades, Africa has been treated like a crime scene for the International Criminal Court (ICC. We've been the defendants, the evidence, the case studies, but never the judges. That changed on September 22nd, 2025, when three nations said enough is enough. There is a tweet that I saw on X, and this guy is Marcus Have. Guess Marcus Have. The tweet was saying Mali and Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger withdraw from the International Criminal Court (ICC) starting from this day, September 22nd, 2025. I've been looking forward for this day. The ICC is a corrupt institution that is there to prosecute Africans, never Westerners. So what do we have to do with them? We must simply withdraw from it. And then I guess he tagged the leaders, and then he said, "You're all making me proud. Respect, one love." So I went into the comment section to see what Africans were saying and what was their opinion on this. So there is a guy called Fanyamambo Africa. This person was saying, this is a good move. If they can't stop the genocide going on in Gaza or hold them accountable, what is the exact role? And I think this comment here is really making sense to me, and I hope it will make sense to you too. There is a guy by the name Fighter Benjamin Ngiri was saying, beautiful, next is UN. Like, this guy was saying that it is a good move for these people to these countries to have defected from ICC, and now he is looking forward to see African nations too to defect from the UN, the United Nations. There is a guy called Almaki Nestri, and he had posted a picture in the comments saying that these three rocks are symbols of hope for Africans who want true economic freedom at every step. God stand with them. Right, and then there is a guy by the name African Unity. He said ICC, their main motive is to support America and West to exploit and steal from Africa. And then there was a picture there that he had posted, and I will quote. It says, "A continent that was formed without the consent of the people does not require anyone's consent to reclaim their land." And there is also Mike who was saying that, yeah, it definitely feels like the ICC has a history of unfairly targeting Africa. Reminds me of a point at Benjamin made about how international institutions need major reforms to be truly just. I'm just going through the comments here, guys, and then I'll build up the whole context story for you. Then there was a guy called Atta Mills was saying, "It's past midnight here, but my guys and myself jubilation so well late into the morning. I have been lost, but I've even lost my voice from singing the AES anthem so loud. Viva AES, folks, please help me sing." I still have a lot of comments here. There is a guy called Sparkles. who was saying that that is the secret. Abandon Western institutions and create your own. Most Western institutions are completely voluntary. We don't have to participate. As long as the West is in charge of African stroke black policies, the West will exploit you. The West only sees black versus white. And I guess this is the same playbook that they even created back home in Africa, like divide and conquer. They divide you with colonial boundaries. They'll divide you according to your ethnicities. They'll divide you according to your religions. And that is why this guy will say that the West only sees black versus white. Like, it's the same playbook for division, divide and rule. And then Vote Like Your Life Depends on It said, well, it's hard to dispute. Israel is the poster child for war crimes and ICC violations. Nobody from Israel has been arrested, though there is plenty evidence and reason to punish. African Confidential said that this was a major development. The Rising Sun said the sun is rising steadily on a daily basis in African continent. We can no longer be intimidated and silent. The future is on our hands to decide. God bless AES for leading the way for other African countries. In United States of Africa, we stand. And then there was a guy by the name Liberate Africa. This guy said, Viva AES, great decision. Those that brought slavery, colonialism, and neocolonialism can't be the ones overseeing jurisprudence now, and with our ancestors' heads and cultural artifacts still in their museums. And then there is a guy here who say realistic, I guess, said that the UN, WHO, WEF, IMF, World Bank, and many international organizations which African countries should withdraw from because they don't serve African interests. Instead, they exploit, impoverish, and enslave us. So from these comments and from these tweets, I am highly convinced that Africans are fed up by the fact that Western institutions still control this continent up to now. So today I'm going to tell you why this might be the most important moment in African politics since independence. And allow me to paint you a picture that will make your blood boil. Since the ICC was established in 2002, guess how many Western leaders have been prosecuted for war crimes? 0. I was born in that year, by the way. So we have George Bush, who lied about weapons of mass destruction and turned Iraq into graveyard. Walking free. Tony Blair, who stood shoulder to shoulder with Bush in that criminal enterprise, giving lectures at universities right now. Nicolas Sarkozy, who bombed Libya into a failed state where slaves are now sold in open markets. Like, really? He's retired and comfortable. But Omar al-Bashir indicated, right? Laurent Gbagbo prosecuted. We have Joseph Kony. He was hunted like a dog. The pattern is so obvious. We even saw our leaders from Kenya, they were taken there. Like, they are insulting our intelligence. The ICC is not the International Criminal Court. It is the International Court for criminalizing Africa. This is not justice. This is a judicial colonialism with a fancy Latin motto. And when you see Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced their withdrawal, Western media called it concerning. The EU expressed deep regret. The United States talked about accountability. Okay, let me translate for you. How dare these Africans refuse to be our punching bags? But here is what they're really afraid of. The example, because when 3 nations stand up and say, we reject your selective justice, others start asking uncomfortable questions. When Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore looks at Thomas Sankara's legacy and chooses sovereignty over submission, it echoes across the entire African continent. And this is not just legal maneuvering. This is psychological warfare against the colonial mindset. It's 3 nations saying we'd rather be judged by our own people than condemned by our former oppressors. And I have reasons as to why I stand with them. 5. Number 1, the ICC targets Africans, not Westerners. Let's do some math that will make you secure. Of the ICC's major prosecutions, over 70% have targeted Africans. Meanwhile, the architects of the war on terror, which killed over 1 million people across multiple continents, host Netflix documentaries about their presidencies. When the ICC tried to investigate American war crimes in Afghanistan, the US sanctioned ICC prosecutors. When they went after Israeli war crimes, Congress threatened funding cuts. But when they go after African leaders, suddenly justice must be served. The game is rigged, guys. And Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger just flipped the table. Reason number 2, sovereignty is not negotiable. Sovereignty is not negotiable. True independence means the power to govern yourself, judge your own, and build your own institutions. Every time an African leader gets dragged to The Hague, we're admitting that we can't handle our own affairs. We are seeing the European judges understanding African problems better than African courts. That's not justice. That's intellectual colonialism. These 3 nations are saying we trust ourselves more than we trust a foreign court that's never walked in our shoes. Reason number 3, breaking neocolonial chains. The ICC is not neutral. It's funded primarily by European countries and operates with their interests in mind. When Libya's Gaddafi was targeted for ICC prosecution, guess who was bombing Tripoli? The same countries funding the court. It's like being tried by your enemies and expecting fairness. These withdrawals ain't anti-justice. They are anti-hypocrisy. They are refusing to legitimize a system designed to keep Africa in its place. Poor. Reason number 4, the power of African unity. Here's what scares the West the most. When African countries move together, we are unstoppable. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger ain't just neighbors. They are the alliance of Sahel states, a confederation that's already challenging French military presence and economic domination. Their joint withdrawal sends a message: African solutions for African problems. When we stand together, we don't need validation from courts that never represented us in the first place. Number 5, the last one, symbolic revolution. Sometimes the most powerful weapons ain't guns or sanctions. They are symbols. These withdrawals symbolize a continent waking up from the colonial dream. They represent the courage to be unpopular with the West if it means being true to yourself. Every African child watching this moment will remember their leaders chose dignity over approval, sovereignty over submission. Allow me to tell you this about selective outrage. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the ICC issued arrest warrants faster than you could say war crimes. But when Israel bombs hospitals in Gaza, when Saudi Arabia starves Yemen, when France destabilizes Mali, suddenly the court discovers due process and jurisdictional complications. The ICC's credibility died the moment it became clear that your passport determines your likelihood of prosecution. If you hold an American, British, or French passport, you're untouchable. If you're African, you're fair game. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are simply refusing to play a game where the rules change based on your skin color and your former colonizer. Watch how Western leaders respond to African independence with panic disguised as concern. They'll talk about international law while ignoring international law when it suits them. They'll cry about accountability while at the same time protecting their own war criminals. Guys, I don't know what you think about this, but I'd like you to share with me down in the comments below. Tell me what you think, and will you encourage more African countries to defect from the ICC, IMF, UN, any other international organization, so that Africa once again it becomes free? My dream is to see Africa stand alone, depending on its own. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.